Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Autastic, your comedian's guide to autism. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Kirk, and we are in studio this week, live with my buddy here,
Graham K. I think this is the first one we've done in person, and I feels like
this year.
Yeah, in a long time. I think last time we were doing it in person, it was summer, and it was at your apartment, and I remember
Maybe.
it was hot.
Oh yeah, because we were filming them.
We
We
were
had those
filming,
lights.
and the lights were so hot.
Yeah, and I had the ACs going the whole time, but then we turned them off of the podcast because we're professionals.
That's right.
And it quickly got very, very hot.
But we are back. You are in New York. I'm in New York.
This might be the last time we do it in your apartment, too.
That's right. We're in my apartment. My girlfriend's moved in. Everything is great.
There's a cat now. Suddenly mysteriously appeared. Every time a girl moves in, a cat moves in.
Every time I move in with a girl, I require a cat.
I think you secretly love the cats.
Ambivalent about me, but I want to kiss it.
Is it the girlfriend or the cat?
Both.
Both.
But yeah, it's good to see you, buddy. You look well.
It's good to be back in New York. I miss it a lot.
Kirk told me off air that he saved a man from drowning in Mexico.
It's true. And I was super rude to him and yelled at him a little bit.
Before, not after.
Before I realized what was happening. I just thought he was some random guy yelling at me on my day off. And I'm like, what do you want?
You know when random guys yell at you on your day off?
It happens.
When they know it's your day off. But you're a hero. Good for you.
I don't know if you can call it a hero if the guy's only weighs 135 pounds, but it was a very interesting experience.
I think he's still a person.
I'm just saying,
even though
he's a little person.
He doesn't work out. He's still a human being.
It was a very weird feeling.
I imagine. Did it feel good?
It was very anticlimactic,
I bet.
considering that you changed his life and then he forgot to say thank you.
But anyway, Kirk is on these cruises all the time, partly so he can
save drowning people.
Well, visit his son who has autism, who lives in Sweden, and spend quality time with him and take care of him financially. I have a brother who has autism. This is the Comedian's Guide to Autism. And you were talking to your son earlier on today, right?
Yeah, we had a nice call. I had to go to the old Dr. Ruski today to get some routine checkups.
Dr. Ruth, did you say?
Dr. Ruski.
Oh, Ruski, different.
A Russian doctor.
Yeah.
Flammable is inflammable. What a country. That's my favorite Simpsons, the Russian doctor who gets everything mixed up. But, and we had a call. He called right then, 2 o'clock. East Coast time, that's when our call is. It's summer in Sweden, and it's every aide who calls now is like, it's so hot. How hot is it? 27 degrees, which is like 90, but it's not Saudi Arabia.
Even, it's 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sweden's not humid. It's very dry. So it's like, it's okay.
They just want you to know that they don't live in an igloo all year. It's like when I lived in Canada, people would do that. It's like, it's hot out here, and you don't, just so you know, we get summer too. That's what they're trying to say. And it's like, it's not really summer, okay? Just, I
didn't think of that.
You're trying to be cool too. You live in hell for 6 months.
It's not that New York humidity that wafts up with the smell of vomit and urine out here in the summer. It's woof. But he's doing good.
After 10 years, I like it in a weird way. You know when you smell feet and it's kind of nice, or like cheese when it's kind of nice. You know, it's
cheese.
Like
okay, let's go
cheese
with
and
cheese.
feet have the same smell, but when it's cheese, you're like, it's good.
Whose joke is that? Alex Nussbaum's joke when you're in an elevator and somebody smells weird. And is that BO or is that a sandwich? Am I supposed to be into this or grossed out?
Yeah. That's what it's like. But I don't know. It just means I love summer. Growing up in Canada, I love summer, and I have not. It's still exciting to me, even though it's way longer here and hotter. I still have that childhood excitement.
I'm trying to get over. I was in Alaska last week, which reminded me of Sweden. It's got that the sun doesn't really. The sun goes down at 10:30, and it's still bright, and it's still. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that affect your son? Because he's so far north.
Yeah, it's not great.
I know you're telling me that when he was growing up, he had trouble with like full moons and stuff.
Still has trouble with full moons. We're still now that he's older. We started him when he turned 19. We started on the non-habit forming sleep assistance. He gives a little sleep help. Mm-hmm. We got blackout shades. We've got a few things that are like helpful. We try to trim his routine where the computer goes off at. I think he's in bed at I want to say 8:30. Computer goes off at 9 because if you just let him sit in the computer, he'll sit up for hours sometimes.
Same.
Just scrolling through those Prince of Egypt videos in Turkish, or he'll watch Prince of Egypt in different languages a lot. And we had a nice call today. They called me from the water. There's water everywhere in Sweden, the land of 10,000 lakes. And he had his little feet in the water.
Oh.
Huh. So I think he's doing good. Trying to plan a little summer trip to go see him. We're in July tomorrow? So yeah, maybe next month. I got to get my summer's almost half done. It's July tomorrow.
It's crazy. I don't like it.
It's not great.
Spring just started. You know what? I'm moving to Los Angeles. Which
good idea.
I am actually moving October 1st.
You know what you need? A fancy new car.
I know.
We talked off air for about an hour about his new car selection. Should he get something practical and smart or something fun? And if you know Graham, you know the direction he's going. The new Silver Bullet.
To our OG listeners, our original gangster listeners, you remember the Silver Bullet. We would start every podcast talking about my car trouble.
And how come it needed to get pushed started?
Well,
you know what? I just drove my car out to my daughter for my daughter to use. And you know what was in there? That you remember used to have a external charger that was like a battery?
Yeah.
It's sat in my car for 5 years. I've never used it. And now I threw it away. Because I'm like, all right, 5 years. I'm never going to use this thing because I never needed it. My car starts.
Yeah.
So
well, I hope it doesn't one day and you need that thing.
I need that.
Yeah.
How's Pete doing? Speaking of non-starters.
Peter is doing great. I don't know what you meant by that.
I think that we talked about last week that he was like, we're starting up again. We're going to get this economy going. He's going to get a job where he's looking.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were talking about that yesterday, and he's still waiting. He walked into his old job, and he asked for it back, and they said in the fall, and I think they were BSing him, and I
remember this. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen, and he's really got his hopes up about it. And I was sort of just said that yesterday. I was like, well, what about, he was saying that his therapist says that he does too much laundry. And I was like, well, what if you get a job at a laundromat? And I've posited this before to him.
I brought that idea up to you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and he was like, I don't want to do other people's laundry. And I said, look, man, you got to work.
Yeah, a job's a job. That's why we call it work.
It's rich two comedians saying that. I mean, but it's still.
Yeah, two comedians. I got to get on I'm going back to get on a cruise ship again. 40 weeks a year is not my preference in the third world Navy I'm working on. Yeah. So yeah. The Filipino Navy, the world's drunkest Navy, or
they're
the
hard
Navy.
Workers.
Honduras Navy.
But anyway. So, look, he's.
I'm just saying, part bored. Of everybody's job is there's parts that they don't like.
He's bored. I have to talk to him every day for 20 minutes. I'm bored of talking to him every day for 20 minutes. But it is what it is. Oh, my friends from high school took him out for pizza and beers.
Boston Pizza?
No, good memory though. They went to another one. They refused to go to Boston Pizza. They took him to like a
which
real
is a
pizza
Canadian
place.
chain, which always blows my mind.
It's so
but
funny.
Continue.
Yeah, it is. It is a weird thing about Canada that one of our national chains is called Boston Pizza.
Why not call it Napolitano pizza? Or
or New York pizza.
Or even New York pizza.
I feel like there's a trademark problem with New York pizza or Chicago pizza, but like no one would ever trademark Austin pizza.
Texas pizza.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
So dumb. Anyway, they went to a real pizza place, took them out for beers, and Peter tried FaceTiming me because he wanted to or WhatsApp video me, but because he's so proud when he hangs out with my high school friends, because he loves to tell me that, well, they're more my friends now. I got your friends. You na type thing. And he's so proud that he's hanging out with them, people his age, more or less. And so he couldn't video me because my parents don't pay for video, like internet.
Got it.
He just has like text and talk. and he can only do Wi-Fi. And he didn't understand that, and so I just heard in the background familiar voices, and I'm like, "Who are you with?" Because he called me. He was like, "Graham, something's wrong with your phone. I tried to WhatsApp video you, but your phone won't work. The connection." And I was like, "Hey, who are you with right now?" And he's like, "I'm trying to show you," which was super cute.
You spoiled the surprise. Great.
Yeah, so I had a hunch. So I FaceTimed my buddy Andrew, and sure enough, he was there with Mike and Pete, and Peter was so proud and was very cute. And my friends were talking about politics or whatever they were talking about. My brother was just tickled pink, just be eating pizza in the background, and every once in a while going like, "Once I got pushed off a snowbank." Peter Crimpton pushed me off a snowbank in 2004. And they're like, "Okay." Great.
Peter, apologize. Peter's at the table.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Peter.
Yeah.
Well, good. I think that's part of it. Just supposed to be included.
Have
something to do.
It was great. He's a sweet boy. And there is no news. It's tough with the pandemic. Each time we do this podcast, it's like, what's new with Peter?
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But I did have something funny up with the aid. Was like years ago, I took JJ really likes the water. So years ago, probably 6 years ago, I took him on a cruise from not 6, probably 4, from Stockholm to Tallinn, Estonia.
Mm-hmm.
And so his aide was like, "Hey, do you want to take him on a cruise?" Meanwhile, now I'm on cruises 40 weeks a year, and I'm like, "No, not really. I'm a week off. I don't want to be on another ship."
Mm.
So I think we're gonna go to Norway. I was like, we could just drive over to Norway or something and do something. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know he likes the water, but just the ships is like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be on a ship any more than I already am.
Yeah, totally.
So
yeah, I get that. It's tough when you travel all the time and then you come home and
you just want to sit down.
Your loved
and do
ones
nothing.
want to go on trips.
Exactly. You want to go on a trip? No, not really.
I would like to do laundry and
I'd
buy
like
groceries.
to catch up on some Wi-Fi that works and maybe watch a couple shows.
Yeah, but you got to do it.
You got
because it's worth it,
Yeah, but I think he likes the water, so we could go see the water in Norway too.
Uh-huh.
The fjords of Norway, also very nice.
Ooh.
And then if he has a meltdown, we're not stuck on a ship. So.
Oh yeah. Did he have a meltdown?
I don't think so. I think it was pretty good that time.
Yeah.
It's funny when we went, we checked in, and like in ships you get like little cabins, especially like this was I think it was a Viking line, but it was again Stockholm to Tallinn, so it's like almost like a ferry because it's like I think it's like 6 hours of sailing. It's not that far. Maybe it's an overnight, I think. So you get there first thing in the morning, you go around Tallinn, and then anyway. You check into your little room, and it had like 2 little sets of bunk beds, and he loved it. He's just like jumped in this little bed. There's like a little porthole. He's like looking out the windows. Got his little videos.
Yeah.
Well, because he likes a lot of confined spaces. A lot of kids watch them like confined little like
cozy
fort kind of cozy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he really liked the bottom bunk where he's like.
I love that too.
Yeah. You would love sailing, my friend.
I love little confined spaces. I don't know why. When I was a kid, I used to set up cereal boxes, like. My dad loved cereal, and I would have kids cereal and whatever, and so I would also get like another cereal box. But I would build a little fort. No one could see me in there just eating cereal.
Wait, when was this? Like last winter?
When I go home for Christmas.
We've got a good article this week.
We do have a good article.
Grandma found it. This one.
Oh yeah, I found it. I did my. All right, we got a crack team of researchers on the case.
Named Kirk and Graham.
Yep. Kirk and Graham hastily before the podcast, but
In between talks about basketball and show business and buying Graham a new car.
and I need Kirk to give me man advice about finances and stuff. This is from.
Do you want good advice or cool advice? Cool advice.
Cool advice.
Trust your Trust your
This is
gut.
from Spectrum News.
Ooh, cops are coming.
Cops are coming. But we always say that, and then I listen to the podcast when I'm
can't
editing
hear
it,
it.
and you can't hear it. There's a siren outside. This is by Leto Sapunar, who is the author of this article for Spectrum News. It begins like this. Heidi Epstein had heard from parents in her community that ketamine might help her daughter, Hannah. Hannah has Rett syndrome, a genetic neurodevelopmental condition that often involves autism's traits. Hannah once knew about 150 words, but by the time she turned 3, she had regressed and retained just a handful. Sounds familiar to most of you listening, I'm sure. She also developed fine motor issues and anxiety, and she struggles with following complex directions. After Epstein heard rumors that ketamine could help manage these issues or even make her daughter verbal again, she longed to try it. When she scheduled Hannah for a routine dental procedure, she saw her chance. She asked if the staff could use ketamine to sedate Hannah. Ketamine's primary use for decades had been as an anesthetic.
This is a dumb question. Was ketamine Special K?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why you asked me.
I think we both know why.
I've never done it. But
I assume you've done it,
heard
but
of
you're just
people.
more worldly than I am.
Yeah. When Hannah woke from the procedure, she told her mother okay, get this. When Hannah woke from her procedure, she told her mother she loved her about 12 times with total clarity, Epstein says. But then after...
Cleaner.
Okay. Then after a day, it went away. Both amazed by the experience and disappointed by how fleeting it was, Epstein wanted more. By the way, Kirk can make that joke.
It's just a joke, obviously, people.
Yeah. Anyway. Though our longtime listeners know why Kirk can make that joke.
Yes,
In the past decade or so, interest in ketamine as a therapeutic for a range of mental health issues has increased, and hundreds of ketamine clinics have materialized across the United States. Experts say that ketamine, when administered properly, is a safe and well-studied, if not well-understood, drug. It blocks the N-methyl D-aspartate NMDA receptor, putting it in a class of drugs called NMDA antagonists, and some clinicians and parents are in favor of using it to ease severe autism traits. Yet skeptical researchers and clinicians worry about the lack of evidence for its effectiveness, and these skeptics are also concerned about the vulnerable people viewing ketamine as a magic bullet, which is definitely something we should highlight as hosts of the Autastic podcast. We're not trying to say that there's like this magic bullet out here, and if you give your kids, they will no longer have autism. But we felt like Kirk and I discussed before the podcast that if you don't know about it, it's something to at least Google. Anyway, continuing on with the article. There is evidence for ketamine's role in treating depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, anxiety, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. Ketamine's approval for anesthetic came in 1970, so it's an old drug. The use of ketamine for mental health conditions has increased dramatically since researchers in the early 2000s found that it could act as an antidepressant. Ketamine clinics began to crop up in 2010s, and in the past 6 years have gone from a handful of well over 500, primarily for treating depression, pain, anxiety, PTSD, says Patrick Sullivan, a physician and medical director at Initia Nova Medical Solutions, a ketamine clinic in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Ketamine is now off patent, and private practices can prescribe it as they see fit. Some do, but researchers and prescribers agree there is not enough evidence that ketamine will benefit an autistic person to recommend it as therapeutic. A handful of studies over the years have investigated ketamine's potential effect on people with autism, beginning in 1989 with a study that found ketamine seemed to lessen traits of the condition. So there is theoretical basis for looking at ketamine as a potential treatment. though Bernard Crespi, an evolutionary biologist interested in social behavior in humans and research chair at Simon Fraser University in Burnaby, Canada, stresses that in the broad spectrum of autism, it's likely to benefit only a small subset of people. Ashraf Hanna, a Florida based anesthesiologist focused on pain management, began administering ketamine off label, mainly for conditions such as complex regional pain syndrome and fibromyalgia around 2010. Hanna has since broadened to try ketamine in a range of neurodegenerative diseases such as amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and multiple scleroses. He estimates that he has administered more than 18,000 infusions, in part because he is one of the fewest U.S. providers, who take insurance for ketamine treatments. He believes ketamine can help with autism traits and with Alzheimer's, and his website says as much, though he has not knowingly given ketamine to treat those conditions, he says. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work, says Ashraf Hanna. I've not had any major side effects. But his experience has led him to believe previous clinical trials looking at autism traits don't use high enough dosage over a long enough interval. One theory around ketamine's benefits in depression and other conditions is that it reduces inflammation in the brain. If that's the case, you need to continuously bombard the brain over days to reduce this inflammation, Hanna says. This is possible, he says, because of ketamine's track record for safety. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work, he says. The lack of side effects is partially why parents such as Heidi Epstein are willing to consider ketamine. She heard about an upcoming clinical trial using ketamine funded by the Bett Syndrome Research Trust and wanted to enroll Hanna, but in the years that the study took to get rolling, Hanna turned 14 and aged out of the target demographic. Epstein sought the next best thing, a doctor who would prescribe the same course of ketamine for Hanna and follow the trial protocol. She eventually located a doctor who agreed to prescribe ketamine to Hanna. But this time it didn't work. Even after a few more doses in May and September in 2021, there was no blooming of Hanna's language, and there had been at the dentist's office. Still, Hanna seemed to be better at using cutlery and appeared to be less anxious and more capable of following two-step directions. These improvements were themselves small gifts. When you have a child that's never done that before, Epstein says, the clinical trial for Rett syndrome that Epstein had hoped to enroll Hanna in has finished, but the results of a different trial for ketamine and ADNP syndrome, a leading genetic cause of autism, have not been published yet. One double-blind trial published in 2020 did focus on people with idiopathic autism, following 21 people at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center in Ohio. But the study had null results. It also used intranasal ketamine, which we know doesn't work as well, says Allison Wells, an anesthesiologist and head of Lone Star Infusion Ketamine Clinic in Houston, Texas, who is not involved in the study. It is an unpublished controlled trial testing ketamine in children with ADNP syndrome. Preliminary results have suggested ketamine can raise ADNP levels, but the trial conducted at the Lincoln School of Medical, Mount Sinai in New York featured only 10 participants. One of the investigators on that study, Aina Kosic, an associate professor in research at Mount Sinai who studies drugs with the potential to treat autism traits, is cautious about the near future of ketamine as a therapeutic. I cannot emphasize enough with the importance of I cannot emphasize enough the importance of controlled clinical trials, Kostic says. Parents and people with autism should rely only on clinical evidence and regulatory agency approvals, she says. She acknowledges that the hype around unproven compounds, especially in the field of autism, exits because the need for new therapies is so great. Wells understands this too. In a vacuum for new therapies, ketamine is the new shiny thing to try, she says, but notes that there are unknown risks.
I think I'm more on that side.
Yeah. Well, let's finish out the article here. Epstein tried another round of ketamine treatments for Hannah in January of this year. It was worth another attempt, she thought, since she didn't have to worry about major negative side effects and because there was so little else out there. She says she may have reached the limit of what ketamine can do for her daughter, but Hannah has had small victories through the therapy. So far, I haven't noticed any improvements, Epstein says, but she's holding on to the gain she made. End of article. I skipped a little bit at the end because I could feel you guys falling asleep.
By you guys, you mean Kirk and Nathaniel? That's my middle name.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards the middle lady where she's like, I don't know. It seems a bit dicey for me right now. I don't feel like there's enough research dedicated to this for me to unequivocally recommend it for my son.
Sure. But clinical trials are ongoing.
Yes.
They're trying different doses.
Yes, and that's
and it's something to keep an eye on because, I mean, this is anecdotal, but that woman Epstein gave it. Her daughter had it at the dentist, and then could say, "I love you."
different Epstein. Yeah, yep.
So something. Anyway, did we do another episode?
We did it. We've got 10 minutes for you to tell us where you're going to be on the road the next few weeks.
Kirk, I don't appreciate your tone. I absolutely do not appreciate your tone.
You catch me on a ship if you're on a ship the next few weeks. I'm on the Dream, then the Vista.
I don't even know. Yeah, people are going to go on a ship to see your comedy.
In fairness, if
they're already on the ship, then they know you're there.
There's a Facebook group dedicated to fans of comedy, but they're not looking for me. But they're looking to see which comics are on that week. Yeah, there is some comics have developed a following there.
Oh, really?
On Carnival specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. They've been on Carnival 20, 25 years.
I take it back.
But yeah, I'm definitely not there yet, which I'm not sure if I ever want to be there. Where am I? Yeah. Some girl posted a picture of me and goes, "This is my favorite boat comic." And I had to tell her, that's not really a compliment, but thanks.
Don't worry. Just take the compliment. I'm going to be headlining at the Looney Bin in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Hot dog.
August 4th, 5th, and 6th. I'm also going to be headlining at the Looney Bin in Oklahoma City, OKC, August 11th, 12th, and 13th. So come see me.
That's it, guys. We'd appreciate a rate and review on Apple Podcasts
and Patreon,
Podbeam, or wherever you review. Those reviews really help move our numbers.
And give us money, Patreon/autastic. That is how you donate. You can donate $1. You can donate $5 an episode. You can cancel any time. You can do a one-time donation. You can subscribe, which we would appreciate. And it truly helps us. We don't get paid for this. We don't do advertising. So anyway, thanks very much.
That's it, guys. Have a great week. You can do it.